The stars outside the viewport of the alien flagship stretched in endless black, dotted with lights that seemed to blink with curiosity. Captain Elias Carter stood with his crew in the center of a massive chamber, its walls shimmering with colors that shifted like liquid. The room was silent, except for the soft hum of alien machinery, a sound that seemed alive and aware. Humans were small here, their bodies dwarfed by the towering forms of the alien guards that surrounded them. Every detail of the chamber screamed power and authority. Elias' heart beat steadily. He had been in dangerous situations before, but nothing like this. The humans had been captured while exploring the outer rim of a newly discovered system, a routine mission gone awry when their sensors detected a fleet of alien ships moving with unnatural speed and precision. Now, standing in the court of the alien queen herself, he felt the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. This was a species known across several star systems for their intelligence, strength, and ruthlessness. And yet Elias did not flinch. The queen entered the chamber with a grace that made the floor seem unimportant beneath her. She was enormous, taller than any human had ever seen, with eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. Her skin shimmered with colors that shifted depending on the angle of view, and her presence alone made the room feel smaller, as if she drew the walls inward around herself. She moved silently, a predator in every sense, yet there was an elegance to her movements that demanded attention. "Take off your helmet," the queen ordered, her voice a melody of authority and curiosity. The humans hesitated. Helmets were not just protection, they were life support. Removing them in this environment under the gaze of a species that could easily crush them required trust they did not feel. But Elias stepped forward, his hands slowly moving to the visor. "Captain Elias Carter at your service," he said clearly. "We comply." Her glowing eyes widened slightly as they focused on Elias. It was a brief moment, almost imperceptible, but the court noticed it. She had expected fear, hesitation, maybe even defiance, but not calm confidence. Not the steady gaze of a human who, despite being small and fragile compared to her, exuded control and courage. Elias lowered his helmet, and the chamber seemed to change. His face was unremarkable, average by human standards, yet there was a spark in his eyes that was undeniable. The queen leaned forward slightly, studying him with a fascination that no one had seen her display before. He was human, and yet he was different from every human she had ever observed through data and reports. Around Elias, his crew removed their helmets as well, their faces showing various emotions, nervousness, curiosity, and cautious pride. They trusted him, and that trust gave him strength. The Queen's council murmured among themselves, their voices a strange blend of clicks, hums, and tones that carried meaning far beyond sound. The humans could not understand the words, but the tension in the room was unmistakable. "You are different," the Queen said finally, her voice softer now, almost curious. "Your species is unpredictable." She had encountered species who could adapt, who could survive harsh environments, but humans were unusual. They were fragile, small, and yet they had something else, something that could not be quantified. A long silence followed. The humans waited, unsure of what would happen next. The alien guards shifted slightly, their towering forms like dark statues in the shimmering light. They had expected to intimidate, to assert dominance. Yet here was a human captain standing without fear, facing an entire empire's judgment with nothing but calm and intelligence. "Very well," the Queen said at last. "You will not be harmed for now, but your mind, your decisions will be tested. We welcome the test. You will be judged by logic, creativity, and moral reasoning. Fail, and you may not leave this room alive. Succeed, and perhaps you will find your place among us. Then we shall begin." He instructed his crew to manipulate the panels in a precise order, blending logic with intuition. Slowly, the lights aligned, the puzzle completing itself in a way that seemed almost too simple. A murmur ran through the council. They had not expected humans to understand or to act with such deliberate intelligence. The Queen's eyes glowed brighter as she watched, her fascination growing. She had met many species that could compute or mimic patterns, but this was different. This was insight, creativity combined with action. "Interesting," she said softly. "Your species adapts." Every decision had consequences, yet none were clear-cut. Humans could not rely solely on logic. They had to understand empathy, morality, and long-term consequences. Elias led his crew through discussion, weighing each choice carefully. They debated, considered, and ultimately acted in ways that balanced efficiency with compassion. The simulation responded, and the humans emerged with results that the Queen did not anticipate. Not perfect outcomes, but ethically sound and surprisingly effective. The Council was silent again. Aliens respected strength and logic, but morality? That was unpredictable. Elias had shown that humans could navigate uncertainty in ways that were clever, brave, and humane. The Queen leaned back slightly, the first hint of a smile playing across her face. Your mind is remarkable. Perhaps you are not as fragile as we believed. You do not intimidate, you do not dominate, and still you command attention. Yet here was a human teaching her, without words of instruction, simply by acting, thinking, and being. The chamber shifted again, revealing a set of alien devices designed for physical trials. Humans were small and unarmed, yet Elias' confidence did not waver. He approached each challenge with careful observation, creative solutions, and teamwork. His crew followed his lead, their trust in him absolute. Together, they navigated the devices with precision and ingenuity, completing tasks that had defeated alien apprentices in the past. By the end of the trials, the Queen rose slowly, her presence commanding the room. "You have surprised me, human," she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. "I underestimated your species. Perhaps we have much to learn from you." For the first time, she saw humans not as fragile beings to be controlled or observed, but as unpredictable, adaptable, and formidable in ways her empire had never accounted for. The humans stood taller, not with arrogance, but with quiet pride. They had faced the impossible and survived not by brute force, but by using every tool that humans possessed: intelligence, creativity, empathy, and courage. They had earned the attention of the most powerful alien in the system, not through fear, but through the essence of who they were. And the Queen, for all her experience and power, paused. She froze in that same way she had when Elias first removed his helmet, realizing that the humans before her were more than she had ever imagined. They were small, yes, but their spirit was vast. Their minds were sharp, and their courage limitless. In that silent moment, a seed was planted. A seed of curiosity, respect, and perhaps a future that neither species could yet predict. Elias did not know what trials awaited next, but he was ready. Humans had survived countless dangers, adapted to impossible situations, and faced the unknown with courage. Whatever came next, they would meet it as they always had, together, unyielding and brilliant in the face of the impossible. The chamber lights shifted one last time, signaling the end of the first trial. The Queen's voice echoed softly. "You have passed for now, but the true tests are yet to come." The adventure had only just begun. The chamber's lights dimmed as the humans stood in the center, catching their breath from the first round of trials. The alien Queen, tall and imposing, hovered near a control panel that pulsed with alien energy. Her glowing eyes studied Captain Elias Carter with quiet fascination. She had expected fear, hesitation, or even defiance, but none of those had appeared. Instead, she saw calm, courage, and intelligence, and it unnerved her. "Your species adapts," she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Yet adaptability is not enough. Your mind must be tested. You must prove your worth beyond instinct and intuition." He glanced at his crew, who mirrored his confidence despite the tension. They had survived this far by trusting each other, by thinking differently from the aliens, and by remaining calm when everything seemed impossible. The Queen waved her hand, and the room transformed. The walls became transparent, revealing a vast, complex structure outside the flagship, a miniature simulation of a bustling alien city. Towering buildings glimmered with light, streets moved like veins, and countless alien figures walked and worked within the simulation. "You will navigate this city," the Queen explained. "Your task is simple in theory: locate the source of a simulated disturbance and resolve it. Fail, and consequences will follow. Succeed, and you may advance to greater challenges." The architecture, the social structures, the energy flow, all of it was beyond human comprehension at first glance. But Elias didn't panic. He observed, calculated, and began formulating a plan. "Listen carefully," he said to his team. "We don't understand everything about this society, but we understand patterns. Watch, learn, and adapt. Step 1, divide and observe. Step 2, identify the anomaly. Step 3, act logically and decisively. And Step 4, stay together when necessary. Understood?" The humans entered the simulation, their physical forms transported into the alien city through technology they didn't fully understand. Streets towered above them. Alien citizens moved with purpose, unaware of the tiny intruders in their midst. Elias led the way, noting the subtle differences in traffic patterns, energy flows, and behavior. "It's predictable in some ways," he said softly. "Watch the patterns but expect the unexpected. That is what humans do best." Elias instructed his team to redirect energy conduits, stabilize supports using portable tools, and create temporary structures to prevent collapse. It worked. The city didn't even notice the human intervention, but the Queen and her council did. A low murmur ran through the alien observers. Humans were using improvisation, teamwork, and logic combined in ways that the aliens rarely expected. Elias had not relied on brute strength or intimidation. He relied on observation, analysis, and creativity. That combination was unpredictable, and it unsettled the Queen's court. But the challenges escalated. Next, they faced a crisis among the city's inhabitants. A disagreement between two powerful factions had erupted, threatening to spark chaos. Aliens often used force to resolve conflict, but Elias paused. Humans could not overpower the factions physically. They were too small, but they could reason. He approached the leaders of the factions cautiously, using a combination of universal signals, logic, and empathy. He pointed out the consequences of conflict and proposed a solution that balanced both sides' needs. The aliens, surprised, listened. Slowly, the dispute de-escalated. Humans had solved a political problem through understanding rather than force. The Queen's glowing eyes widened. She had studied countless species capable of domination or negotiation, but humans were unique. They could combine logic, observation, morality, and empathy in real time, and they did it without fear. "Remarkable," she whispered. "Your species does not intimidate, yet it controls the outcome." Elias studied the core, noting patterns in energy fluctuations. "We don't have their tools, but we have brains," he said. "We can improvise." Using fragments of alien technology and their own portable devices, humans rerouted energy, stabilized the core, and prevented catastrophe. Once again, the city appeared unharmed, but the Queen and her court were amazed. It was more than survival. It was brilliance under pressure. The humans had shown that size and strength were not the only measures of effectiveness. Intelligence, adaptability, and creativity could achieve what raw power could not. But the simulation was not done testing them. Next came an ethical dilemma. A section of the city contained citizens infected with a simulated alien virus. The humans could cure the infection, but doing so required diverting energy from other sectors, potentially causing problems elsewhere. Aliens might have acted strictly logically, choosing the path of least resistance. Humans had to consider morality, long-term consequences, and the lives at stake. Elias gathered his crew. "We can't save everyone, but we can do the most good," he said. "We balance risk with benefit. This is not just about logic, it's about understanding value and consequences." She realized that humans were unpredictable in ways that could not be calculated. They did not follow strict patterns, yet they succeeded. They did not obey fear, yet they thrived. And they acted morally, even when logic alone would have suggested otherwise. A final test awaited. The humans had to navigate a rapidly collapsing sector where energy storms tore through the city unpredictably. Aliens would have hesitated, analyzing every possibility before acting. Humans acted instinctively, but intelligently. Elias directed his crew with split-second decisions, guiding them through the chaos, using the environment to their advantage. Portable tools, quick thinking, and teamwork allowed them to survive the collapse. When the simulation ended, the humans emerged in the chamber once more, exhausted but unbroken. They had completed every test with a combination of intelligence, creativity, empathy, and courage. The Queen regarded them in silence. Her court was buzzing, whispering in tones humans could not understand. "You have succeeded in ways I did not anticipate," the Queen said. "Your species is extraordinary. You adapt, you reason, and yet you act with a moral compass. You are small, fragile, and yet formidable." She had ruled over countless species, judged millions of individuals, and yet humans were different. They were unpredictable, intelligent, courageous, and moral in ways that defied expectation. They were a force that could not be contained by conventional measures of strength or control. Her eyes softened, almost imperceptibly. "Perhaps we have underestimated your kind." Humans had not only survived, they had impressed the most powerful beings in the system. They had turned fear into strategy, limitation into opportunity, and adversity into triumph. And the Queen, for all her power and knowledge, was beginning to see that humans were more than she had ever imagined. She waved her hand, and the chamber shifted once more. This time, a series of intricate patterns appeared in midair, symbols and lights that pulsed with intelligence and purpose. Your next challenge will test your understanding of our technology and our society together. You will need to think as we think, yet act as you act. Do not fail. Together, we can solve anything. Now the true test of adaptability, intelligence, and teamwork awaited. And Elias knew that whatever came next, they were ready. Humans were small in size, yes, but their spirit, their minds, and their hearts were limitless. In the vast alien chamber, under the gaze of the most powerful queen in the system, humans were no longer just captives. They were participants, challengers, and perhaps one day allies. And the alien queen, who had once frozen at the sight of Elias' calm confidence, could no longer ignore the undeniable truth. Humans were extraordinary. The chamber had returned to its original state, but the energy in the room felt different. The humans had completed the city simulation, solving problems that tested intellect, morality, and adaptability. They had impressed the alien queen beyond measure, yet the challenges were far from over. Captain Elias Carter stood at the center, watching the queen and her council closely. There was a quiet tension in the room. The council had whispered during the simulation, their alien voices clicking and humming in ways the humans could not understand. Not all of them were pleased. Some, despite the humans' accomplishments, were uneasy. They had never encountered a species so small yet so effective. Fear, thinly veiled as caution, lingered in the air. "You have performed exceptionally," the queen said, her voice calm but firm. "Yet there are still lessons to be learned. Your reasoning, your courage, and your ethics have been tested. Now we test your instincts against deception and betrayal." The queen's admiration was genuine, but in every empire there were those who resisted change, who feared the rise of a species they could not predict. Humans had survived because they expected the unexpected. This, he thought, would be the ultimate test of that principle. Before he could respond, the chamber shifted. The walls retracted to reveal a long corridor lined with alien observation chambers. Inside some of the chambers were alien officials who whispered urgently, exchanging data through flickering lights. Elias realized the true challenge. He and his crew would face traps and deception designed to test not just intellect, but survival instincts in the presence of treachery. "Your next task is simple," the queen explained. "Navigate the corridor, identify allies, uncover threats, and reach the end safely. Fail, and you will be removed from our observation permanently. Move only when you understand the situation." Each obstacle tested their agility, coordination, and awareness, and they passed them without hesitation. The more challenging part came when deception revealed itself. Certain chambers displayed illusions, holograms of hostile aliens, and deadly energy bursts. Some council members had tampered with the simulation to see if humans could distinguish reality from trickery. Elias observed carefully, noting small inconsistencies in the illusions. "Do not react immediately," he whispered. "They want us to make mistakes, observe, question, and then act." "It's not real," she said, and the others followed, navigating safely past traps designed to trick the mind as much as the body. The corridor became darker, narrower, and more treacherous. Humans had to make choices quickly, paths diverged, some seemingly leading to safety, others to danger. In one section, Elias noticed subtle markings on the wall, imperfections that betrayed hidden panels. He led his crew to investigate, discovering hidden rooms where alien officials were secretly monitoring them. "You see," he whispered, "not everything is obvious. Look closer, question assumptions." Elias absorbed the information quickly, analyzing the council's hierarchy, potential motives, and likely next moves. "This is not just a test," he said quietly. "They are trying to manipulate us to see if fear will break our judgment, but humans do not give in to fear. We think, we act, and we survive." Sensors detected motion, and certain routes were booby-trapped to collapse or trigger alarms. Elias used logic, observation, and intuition. He led his crew along the safest route, avoiding traps while leaving evidence for the queen to see. Eventually, they reached a chamber where the deception became direct confrontation. A group of alien operatives, armed with advanced weapons, blocked the path. They were not simulation, they were real. Elias did not hesitate. "Stay calm," he instructed. "We are not here to fight unless necessary. Observe, assess, and then act." They used portable tools and environmental manipulation rather than brute force. Elias triggered energy panels to create barriers, forcing the aliens to pause. He led the crew in coordinated movements that used the opponent's size and weight against them. The humans moved quickly, unpredictably, and with purpose. Within minutes, the operatives were incapacitated without a single fatality. Humans had demonstrated skill, coordination, and strategic thinking that even aliens struggled to counter. The chamber's doors opened automatically. The Queen's voice filled the space. "You have not only survived deception and traps, but have exposed conspirators within my court. Your instincts, courage, and intellect are remarkable. We do what we must to survive. Fear is natural, but it does not control us. Logic, observation, and teamwork allow us to thrive even in hostile situations. You have proven something few ever do," she said softly. "Even among your peers, you demonstrate a combination of courage, intelligence, and morality that is rare. It is not your strength, your size, or your weapons that impress me. It is your mind." Their actions had demonstrated qualities that no alien technology or brute force could replace. Yet the Queen was not alone in her observations. Her council continued to murmur, some in awe, some in fear. Humans had exposed the plot of certain members who had sought their destruction. The conspirators were now cautious, aware that the humans had insight and foresight beyond expectation. Ilias reviewed everything in his mind: traps, illusions, operatives, and hidden observations. Every step had been a test of their mental and moral strength. The humans had not only survived, they had thrived, and in doing so they had turned potential adversaries into cautious observers. "You see, Captain Carter," the Queen said, "your species is unpredictable. You act with caution yet decisively. You think strategically yet morally. You survive not by dominance but by understanding. And this is why you are different." Perhaps they could be allies, valuable partners in ways no other species could match. "Your journey is far from over," she said. "Greater challenges await, but for now you have earned recognition, not as subjects, but as individuals capable of remarkable feats. Know this, in my court nothing is as it seems. Your actions have shown that you can rise above expectation and challenge destiny itself." Yet one thing was certain: humans were capable of turning even the most dangerous situations into victories through intelligence, teamwork, and courage. The Queen observed quietly as the humans exited the corridor. In the halls of her court, whispers grew louder. A species that could navigate deception, resist fear, and act with ingenuity was not merely remarkable, it was a force that could change the balance of power. And the humans had done so without weapons, without dominance, without intimidation. They had succeeded through thought, creativity, and unity. Ilias paused at the exit and looked back at the Queen. "We will face whatever comes next." Humans do not give in to fear, even when surrounded by the unknown. We think, we adapt, and we act. They were extraordinary. The humans stepped forward, leaving the corridor behind, their spirits intact and their confidence renewed. They had survived traps, deception, and betrayal. They had exposed conspirators within the alien court. They had demonstrated that intelligence, morality, and courage could overcome fear, manipulation, and hostility. And as the chamber doors closed behind them, the Queen realized that the humans before her were no longer just a test or a curiosity. They were a new presence in her empire, small, fragile, yet capable of achievements that few species could comprehend. Ilias knew that more challenges awaited. Yet, as always, he relied on the same principles that had carried him this far: observation, ingenuity, courage, and the unwavering trust of his crew. They were small, yet formidable. They were human, and nothing could change that. In the silent moments that followed, the Queen pondered the humans' potential. They had proven themselves extraordinary, not through domination or brute strength, but through qualities that were rare even among the most advanced civilizations. Humans were unpredictable, intelligent, moral, and courageous. And in that unpredictability, they were a force that even the most powerful beings in the galaxy could not ignore. The hum of the flagship thrummed through the humans' bodies as they were guided from the alien court into the vast docking bay. Outside, a small fleet of alien vessels hovered in formation, their sleek designs glinting in the artificial light. The Queen had spoken of a new trial, a real mission in the field, far from the controlled environment of simulations or the court's safety. Captain Ilias Carter looked at his crew, reading their expressions. Excitement mingled with apprehension. This was the test that would define them not only in the eyes of the Queen, but in the memory of her empire. "Remember," Ilias said, his voice steady, "everything we've faced so far was preparation. Out there, the stakes are higher. The environment is unpredictable. We will need our minds, our instincts, and our teamwork more than ever." You will lead a mission to the planet Alaris. A hostile faction there has seized control of energy cores essential to our empire's stability. Your objective is simple: retrieve the cores and neutralize the threat. You may not rely on our forces for direct combat support. The outcome depends entirely on you. The planet was rugged, its surface a maze of jagged cliffs, deep canyons, and sprawling alien settlements. The hostile faction had fortified the energy cores, setting traps and defenses designed to deter even the most advanced species. Elias' mind raced, evaluating possibilities. "Listen up," he said. "They have strength and numbers, we do not. That means brute force is not an option. We need strategy, creativity, and surprise. Every move we make must be precise. Every action must anticipate their response. We win by being smarter, not stronger." The team felt the tension in the air. This was no simulation. Every choice had real consequences. They landed near the first outpost. Alien sentries patrolled with disciplined precision, their sensors scanning for intruders. Elias observed quietly. "We can't just storm it," he whispered. "We need to use their systems against them." Humans moved swiftly, avoiding direct confrontation. They bypassed traps, disabled alarms, and retrieved the first core without raising an alert. The hostile faction had underestimated the smallest species in the galaxy. "Good work," Elias said quietly. "We've proven once again that observation and planning can overcome brute force." The main facility, housing multiple energy cores, lay atop a jagged cliff, heavily guarded and surrounded by natural hazards. Sensors detected motion across multiple layers of defense: drones, patrols, and automated weapons designed to annihilate intruders. Elias paused. "We need a distraction," he said, scanning the terrain. "We'll use the environment itself as a tool." When they reached the main facility, they faced a critical obstacle. The cores were housed within a chamber protected by a complex locking system, one designed to be solved only with precise alien logic. Elias studied it, recalling his earlier experiences with the Queen's simulations. He recognized patterns, observed subtle inconsistencies, and began to work with his team to unlock the mechanism. Hours passed, but the humans were relentless. They combined logic, creativity, and ingenuity, approaching the problem in ways the aliens had never expected. Their small size allowed them to access panels and conduits that were impossible for the larger species. Piece by piece, they dismantled defenses without triggering alarms. Finally, the cores were secure. Elias signaled his team. "Now extraction," he said. "We've done the hard part, but we're not safe yet." "We will move as one," he instructed. "Follow my lead, anticipate, improvise. They expect fear. We will give them strategy instead." The hostile aliens were strong and numerous, but humans were unpredictable, moving in ways the faction could not anticipate. At one point, a pursuing squad cornered Lieutenant Hayes. Elias acted instantly, triggering a makeshift diversion that allowed her to escape. Every decision was calculated, yet executed with speed and precision. Humans were small, but their minds were vast, able to control situations far larger than their physical presence would suggest. As they approached their extraction point, the terrain itself became a challenge. Narrow bridges, steep cliffs, and unstable surfaces threatened to end their mission, yet Elias guided his team with calm authority. Step by step, they advanced, turning obstacles into advantages. Energy conduits became tools, cliffs became defensive barriers, and the faction's own anticipation of human fear worked against them. Finally, they reached the landing zone. The vessel waited, engines humming in readiness. The team secured the energy cores and boarded swiftly, their hearts pounding but their focus unwavering. Elias piloted the ship upward, avoiding fire from the faction's reinforcements. As they ascended, Elias allowed himself a small smile. Humans had succeeded where larger, stronger forces would have failed. They had relied not on weapons or brute strength, but on observation, intelligence, adaptability, and teamwork. Once safely away, Elias addressed his crew. "This is what humans do best. We are small, but we are clever. We are not the strongest, but we are capable of turning impossible situations into victories. Remember this. Today, we proved that our minds are our greatest weapon. Your strategy, ingenuity, and courage are without equal. You have shown that humans are not merely survivors. They are a force capable of reshaping expectations. Now I must reconsider their place in the Empire. You are not merely curiosities. You are remarkable." They had proven that the combination of intelligence, creativity, and courage could overcome even overwhelming odds. Elias looked at his crew and said quietly, "This mission was dangerous, yes, but it also proved something important. Humans are not defined by size, strength, or technology alone. We are defined by our ability to think, to adapt, and to act with purpose. That is what makes us formidable." Within the corridors of her court, whispers spread among the council. Humans had achieved something that no alien operative could have predicted. They had proven that intelligence, ingenuity, and courage were forces that could not be measured in conventional terms. The Queen herself felt a shift in perspective. The humans before her were no longer just captives or subjects of observation. They were participants, allies, and perhaps even equals in ways she had not yet fully understood. Elias debriefed his crew in the vessel. Each member shared observations, lessons, and small improvisations that had contributed to success. He emphasized teamwork, communication, and foresight. "This mission is a reminder," he said, "that humans succeed not because we are the largest or strongest, but because we think differently. We adapt, we learn, and we act when it matters most. Captain Carter, your actions today have rewritten what we thought possible. Humans are capable of intelligence and courage beyond measure. You have not only completed the mission, you have transformed perception. My court and I will never underestimate your kind again." That is what carries us through even the most impossible situations. They had not only completed a perilous mission, they had changed the way the most powerful beings in the galaxy viewed humanity. Their small bodies, keen minds, and unwavering courage had proven that human potential could never be measured by size alone. And in that moment, amidst the hum of the flagship and the endless stars beyond, humans had taken a step closer to equality, respect, and a place in the alien empire that no one could have predicted. Their mission had been dangerous, unpredictable, and exhausting. Yet it had also been a triumph, a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. And for Captain Elias Carter and his crew, it was proof that the smallest beings could achieve the greatest feats when they trusted in themselves and each other. The adventure was far from over. Greater challenges awaited, but humans had once again shown that they could rise to meet any trial, adapt to any danger, and succeed against all odds. The spirit of humanity, small yet extraordinary, had proven itself in the field, and the alien queen could not ignore it. The flagship's observation chamber was quiet, yet it buzzed with a subtle energy that the humans could feel even from a distance. Captain Elias Carter and his crew had returned from the mission on Alaris victorious, with energy cores secured and hostile factions neutralized without unnecessary harm. The Queen's presence filled the room, her glowing eyes focused on the humans with a mixture of curiosity, respect, and something that resembled admiration. "You have returned," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "And you have succeeded where few could even attempt. Your actions in the field, combined with your performance in our trials, have proven that your species is not only capable of survival, but of excellence. That is how we survive and thrive. You have surpassed expectations at every turn. Your trials are complete," she said, "and yet your story is only beginning. I offer you a place not as captives or curiosities, but as partners, observers, and contributors to the future of this empire. If you accept, your species will have a voice, influence, and opportunity beyond what most could imagine." They had been captured, tested, and challenged beyond anything they could have imagined, yet now the most powerful alien in the system was offering recognition and partnership. It was more than survival. It was respect earned through courage, intelligence, and integrity. Elias stepped forward. "We accept your majesty. Humans do not seek domination, but we do seek to learn, to contribute, and to demonstrate what we are capable of. We will honor this trust with our best efforts. Let your presence be a reminder to all that the smallest can achieve the greatest when intellect, courage, and morality guide them." This was no longer about survival. It was about opportunity, the chance for humanity to prove its value on a galactic scale. "Captain Carter," the Queen said, "your mission on Alaris demonstrated that humans are capable of ingenuity under pressure, creativity in the face of danger, and moral reasoning when choices are difficult. You and your crew have not only achieved success, they have inspired reconsideration of what is possible." Whispers of astonishment echoed in the chamber. Aliens had long relied on power, control, and predictability, yet the humans had shown that these were not the only measures of capability. Creativity, courage, and collaboration could achieve far more than raw strength. The Queen's gaze softened as she continued. There are many who doubt small species. They assume fragility equals weakness. Yet your actions prove otherwise. Your species embodies qualities that cannot be measured by size or weaponry: intelligence, adaptability, and a moral compass. These are the qualities that shape history. They had been underestimated, challenged, and tested, but now they were recognized not for their fragility, but for their capabilities. The Queen gestured to a holographic display of Alaris and the mission they had completed. You acted with precision, courage, and ingenuity. You avoided unnecessary harm while achieving your objectives. That is the mark of a species worthy of recognition and trust. Your methods are unconventional yet highly effective. That is what makes you extraordinary. Every challenge we face, no matter how great, can be overcome when we act together. The Queen continued, "Your success will be recorded in our archives. Future generations will learn from your methods, strategies, and courage. Humans are no longer unknown quantities. You have shown that small beings can achieve great things, that ingenuity and bravery outweigh size and strength, and that morality can guide effective action." This was more than recognition. It was validation of everything humanity stood for: courage in the face of danger, intellect as a tool of survival, and morality as a guide for action. Humans were small, yes, but their minds and spirit were limitless. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Elias said. "We will honor this recognition, and we will continue to prove that humans are capable of extraordinary achievements when we rely on our strengths, our minds, our courage, and our unity. You will have the chance to explore, to contribute, and to grow alongside us. And in doing so, you will teach even the greatest of beings that courage, intelligence, and morality cannot be measured by size alone." They had faced trials of intellect, deception, and morality. They had survived hostile environments and outmaneuvered stronger opponents. And through it all, they had remained human, clever, brave, and unwavering in their principles. Lieutenant Myra Hayes approached him. "Captain, we've done more than survive. We've shown them who we are. We've proven that humans are capable of things they cannot predict, and that our spirit is limitless. Every challenge we face together, and together we can overcome anything." They had won respect not through intimidation, but through ingenuity, courage, and morality. The Queen watched from her observation chamber, quietly analyzing the humans' behavior. She saw their unity, their thoughtfulness, and their resilience. She realized that humans were not merely participants in her empire. They were potential partners, advisors, and allies capable of extraordinary contributions. A council member approached her. "Your Majesty, the humans, they are unlike anything we have seen. They are small, yes, but their minds, their courage, it is formidable. They embody qualities that cannot be measured by power or size. This is a species that surprises, that adapts, that excels where others fail. Let us remember this. Let humanity be a reminder that greatness can come from the smallest and most unlikely places. We've proven our worth. We've earned respect. Now we have the chance to explore, to learn, and to continue demonstrating what humans are capable of." Their small stature had never been a disadvantage, only a challenge to be overcome by creativity, courage, and teamwork. The humans looked out at the stars from the flagship's viewport. The universe was vast, filled with civilizations, dangers, and opportunities. Yet for the first time, they knew they had earned a place among the stars, not as fragile observers, but as a species capable of remarkable feats. Elias placed a hand on the console, thinking of the Queen's words. "We are humans," he said softly, "small, yes, but resilient. Intelligent, adaptable, and brave. Every challenge is an opportunity, every danger a test of our ingenuity. And together, there is nothing we cannot overcome." The Queen watched silently, her glowing eyes reflecting the humans' small but extraordinary forms. She had expected fear, weakness, or hesitation, but she saw none. Instead, she saw brilliance, courage, and spirit. Humanity had left an impression that could never be forgotten, and in that moment the humans were more than survivors. They were pioneers, representatives of a species whose ingenuity and courage could shape the galaxy. The Queen's empire, the Council, and perhaps even the universe itself had recognized a simple truth. The human spirit, small but indomitable, could not be ignored. Elias turned to his crew one last time before the vessel prepared to depart for further missions. "Remember this, team. We have been tested, we have succeeded, and we have earned our place. But the galaxy is vast. There will always be new challenges, and we will meet them the only way humans know how, together, thinking, acting, and never giving up." Their trials had forged them, their courage had proven them, and their ingenuity had earned them respect. The universe was larger, stranger, and more wondrous than ever, but humans were ready. Small, clever, brave, and moral, they would face whatever came next with the same spirit that had carried them through every challenge. The alien queen observed silently, her mind forever changed. Humans were no longer unknown, no longer underestimated. They had proven themselves extraordinary, and she could not ignore their potential. In a galaxy ruled by power and strategy, humanity had demonstrated that courage, intellect, and morality could achieve greatness beyond expectation. And for Captain Elias Carter and his crew, the adventure had only just begun.